Hello, hello. Welcome back to the fifth live episode of the Silver Fox webcam show. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to uh, get Studio Labs working, or Streamlabs, my bad, Streamlabs working the way that I wanted to. It seems that it's up on YouTube. It's private, or make it public. There's no play button for me to actually play the video, so it seems I'm gonna have to go back into a tutorial and figure this shit out. Because I watched half of the tutorial. Believe shit, I got this. Fuck it, right? Fuck it, I can handle this shit. Uh, no, I didn't. I think I was tweaking way too much, thinking I knew what the fuck I was doing, and I made like 4 fucking videos successfully, but only problem is the software is not working in tandem with YouTube, so I have to go back into the settings and figure this shit out. And I know I promised a lot of you that I was going to make 2 lives today. Looks like it's only going to be the one. So, in my prior live that was never published here on YouTube, I was going over a Abba and Preach video. And I'm not really a big Abba and Preach fan. I haven't been for years, to be honest. I know there's a lot of Abba and Preach fans out there. If you're fans of them, that's cool. I don't really hold anything personally against them. I just found a lot of their content to be extremely long and extremely boring. Abba, at one point, I did like, or I call him blah blah now because all he does is talk. But I used to think that he was very insightful, but I've seen him kind of contradict himself on numerous occasions. Preach, I think is rather entertaining. I have nothing against Preach. I think he's a little bit of the flickatorous, a little bit of the flickatorous kind of guy. Am I right? But the oh no boo boo type shit. But listen, I don't even know if I'm allowed to have a blunt. It's very weird. Of course, this is not for kids. For kids, I would not condone this. Wait until you're 18. Uh, I started when I was 17. And from that point on, I've been pretty much, I mean, I've stopped. I've been on and off at times. Like, I remember for like a whole year when I was 20, I did not smoke at all. Like, nothing. I was pretty clean cut then. And then I started back up again. And there were times where I took long breaks, but didn't quit for a whole year. So that was the only time I think in my life, which is 10 years ago. Damn, time fucking flies, man. Yeah, basically, I made some comments on a video they had shared. Abba and Preach had shared a video about some teacher in Canada, and she was talking to the kids, and she was basically telling them like, "Hey, look, if you do not celebrate Pride, that you know, you can basically, AKA, go back to Uganda or wherever the fuck you came from, right? Because we're not going to tolerate intolerance here." And basically, my comments were in that live that never published. It's funny how a community that demands tolerance from everyone else is the most intolerant of them all. And if you guys hear shit going on in the background, those are fucking roommates. And one of my roommates has a very loud friend. So you'll fucking hear motherfucker in the background. I hear him through the fucking wall. You probably heard him. See, I'm a kind of motherfucker who likes peace and quiet, and I get very agitated when motherfuckers start making noise. But I digress. Uh, you're free to make noise, but I just don't like when fuckers are too loud. If you playing music, that's one thing. I don't give a fuck. You want to rock, you want to jam. But if you know there's someone else, you don't need in the crib. You don't need to be talking at the top of your goddamn lungs. There's no need. Sing the party. You're not at a club where you have to shout in somebody's fucking ear just for you to fucking be heard. Somebody today asked me, when the fuck you gonna shape up your beard? What is up with the obsession? So what? Okay, I know it looks ridiculous, but I got two fucking long hair strands coming over my fucking beard. As long as I'm at work and they don't complain about it at my job, I don't give a fuck. And I feel like all this gruff is just a reflection of how I feel on the inside, which is just like fuck it. Which is just like fuck it. Who the fuck am I trying to look good for out here? You see my first live? I was looking nutty. I was looking like a nutty fucking professor. Who the fuck am I trying to look good for? That's the thing. That's why you never see me post pictures on Instagram or Facebook or any of that shit. You know why? Because it becomes a full-time fucking job. You have to constantly worry about your image. You have to constantly think about your image. You have to be constantly taking good care of yourself. You have to be constantly making videos, constantly fucking taking pictures. And you got to also make sure that you got good headshots, good body shots. You got to be going to the gym every motherfucking day. And there's nothing wrong with that. The motherfuckers that, they work hard at that and they achieve that. But as I said, it's a full-time fucking job. It's a full-time fucking job being an amateur model. And having to amateur model for a majority of motherfuckers who at the end of the day really don't give a fuck about you. Just keep giving them things that they can consume and stay engaged and entertained by. Some motherfuckers really care. You think they give a fuck about you? You stop posting. You stop giving them the shit they like. You stop giving them the shit that they feed off of, which is which is a mild form of entertainment for the time being. While they wait for the bus, while they sit on the bus, while they're on their lunch break, while they're on their way home. You stop providing that need. You stop satiating that need. And see how much they really care about you. You almost disappear. How do I know that? Well, voila, I'm a fucking prime example. Not ever saying that I was that person, and that's what happened to me, per se. But it's something along those lines, kind of similar. Because I was never really an individual who really cared for much of that kind of shit in the first place. I just kind of used to do it to stay up to date, to try to. When I was younger, and I want to say our generation, when we were in our 20s, I'm a 92 baby, when we were all in our 20s, our late teens, we were kind of the forerunners for everything you see on social media today. And, selfies and all that shit. I mean, not saying selfies didn't exist before us, but, we were certainly kind of spearheading I don't want to say spearheading. That's probably the wrong terminology to use. I don't know what the fucking operative term is, but I do know that, we kind of laid down the foundation for the type of online culture you see today. And I was never fully a part of the culture, but I remember trying to do my best to keep up with it at one point. So I would take pictures. I would go to new places intentionally with the intent to be like, oh, when I get there, I'm gonna take a photo. Try to be in it. Trying to constantly try to find the fucking perfect shot. And then I just got to a point where I stopped giving a shit because it became very obvious that majority of social media is filled with narcissists. And I know that's a term that's always used. I think it's a little overused if you ask me. Um, but people who are obsessed with their image, lovers of the flesh, and or lovers of their flesh. And I could never get with that. I could never get behind that because of the way that I used to think. See, I think around that time when I became a young adult, I was more impressed by things that, you know, blew my mind away. I've always been a little bit of a writer, so um, I don't want to say a little bit, probably a lot of it. And I was never much of an entertainer. I never wanted to feel like a goddamn modern day jester. So when it comes preferably to looks and how I look on here, for the most part, I'm thinking to myself, well, who the fuck is really watching in the first place? 10,000 people, 10 million people, or 10 million people fucking viewing this live? No. Very few people are. So, if anything, this is a test run. If anything, like I said, and I've always said this in each and every video, this is for me. Now, if you happen to see it, the option is there for this to be for public consumption. But to the people who I know watched it and said to me, "What's up with the beard?" I know they didn't like it, but it doesn't matter to me. Okay. One day I'll get around to it, maybe. But right now, I feel like I'm at a stage in my life where I really do feel like the beard or this Fu Manchu I got going on is just a reflection of what I'm going through internally. Okay. Um, I don't know how to personally convey uh, emotions on an in an online type of in a virtual form, so to speak, right? In this way, I don't feel like I want to portray anything that's too personal, either in my past or in my present. And that's because I like to stay on topic, motherfuckers. That's because I like to talk about the shit that I see in the world today. I would prefer to talk about shit where I'd prefer to talk about shit that blows my mind. And I just read a text, and it's one of those text messages that you're like, oh my God. I'm not really sure how to how to deal with that. It's like, um, you know, when it comes to the ladies, let's just be honest. I am not one of these guys in the manosphere who is gonna sit here and honestly give other men the best advice on how to be a Mac or how to be an alpha male. That's for every man to figure out for himself. But definitely don't be a motherfucking beta male. Definitely don't be no little bitch. Definitely don't be a sucker. Definitely don't get manipulated. Definitely don't let someone cross your fucking boundaries. But I think in my last live, oh man, now I gotta go back into the book. Because I remember into my last live, I was gonna say what I believed was an alpha male, right? And I couldn't find it. I was flipping through the pages. And I found it, and in my opinion, this is what an alpha male is. If my opinion had any value to you, of course, it might not. You might be like, I fuck with Fresh and Fit, and whatever they say is what an alpha male is, motherfucker. But to each his own. I think as long as it's within this here definition, or not necessarily a definition, almost kind of a maybe a brief summary, or just words. I would say here's what it is. It's words that help best describe what the alpha male is. Words that best help describe what an alpha male is. And these are my observations. All right. It's a protector, physically and emotionally, assertive, resourceful, reliable, keeps his word, mentally firm, stable, and self-disciplined, strong-willed, stoic. I feel like that's an important one. Stoic and principled. Now, maybe you want to add to that. Maybe you disagree with some of that. Let me know in the comments what you believe to be a motherfucking alpha male, and or what's the difference in your opinion between an alpha male and a beta male. I really don't care, but the only reason I somewhat care is because I feel like majority of men who are aka beta males, aka simps, enable the type of promiscuity we see in the consciousness of women today. And we could see the proliferation of that promiscuity and what I would say, online and even in day-to-day interactions. And what I mean by only online, you know what I mean by online, but yeah, these beta males, these simps, enable promiscuity to be a thing that, how do I say this? I'm really stumbling on my words because I'm trying to choose my words very carefully, and I'm not, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I could just be straight the fuck up and talk like how most, she's a fucking thought, like that fucking, but I'm trying to use words that I guess serve better as umbrella terms. And unfortunately, the beta male, in my opinion, keeps that ongoing cycle of promiscuity in the consciousness of women, in modern day women today. And I'm not saying all, because I'm not generalizing here, but at least for young women today, the majority of young women today. I should be more specific. And unfortunately, I think a lot of simps are doing this and acting out in this way because I know this is gonna sound weird to say, but I think the number one reason is porn and having an addiction to porn. Now, it doesn't. When I say porn, it doesn't have to necessarily mean just pornography. It's it's the type of, like, when you go on Instagram and you check out a girl's catalog of photos on her profile, if you want to say, for lack of a better term, because that's what it is. It's damn near her portfolio of herself. And you go on there, some of it is like what you could call, or what you would have called, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you know, uh, soft porn. And the reason I say that is because I remember I had a magazine that was soft porn when I was 16. And some of the shit that I see online is worse than the stuff that's in that magazine. And I mean, and the stuff that's in that magazine is kind of ingrained into my brain, because I feel like it was one of those things where I was like, damn, and had access to it all the time, so I could just flip right through it. Um, no, I don't think I was 16. I think I was 12. Yeah, I was 12. Because at 16, it was already like, there was already porn. There was the phone, the laptop. There was ways, and I think, the magazine. There wasn't like back when I was 12, 11. It used, if you saw something like that, it was on HBO late at night. And now it's pretty much everywhere. All you got to do is go on some girl's page who's got that type of content, and surprisingly, you'll find that the soft core stuff leads to the hardcore stuff if she has her OnlyFans linked into her Instagram bio. So we delve deeper and deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole of promiscuity. We delve deeper and deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole of narcissism. We delve deeper and deeper and deeper into degeneracy. Those are my observations. The beta male himself delves deeper and deeper and deeper into degeneracy through porn. And it always starts off softcore with just seeing some pictures of her. Now he's got to see more, and he goes deeper and deeper, and it's like that even in terms of just watching pornography, where the regular stuff doesn't even get you off anymore. You start typing in, some crazy shit like fucking big ass big butt midgets or something, because the addiction, the rabbit hole of promiscuity, goes deeper and deeper and deeper into degeneracy. And when it first starts out, it always starts out to where it's, oh, that's just human nature, right? It's not that bad. It's instinctual. We're human beings. We've been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years. We're merely indulging ourselves. But I think it's a lot deeper than that. And um, I think something like that is a perfect scapegoat out of actually acknowledging that certain behaviors have there's a slippery slope to certain behaviors. And I don't think it's widely acknowledged enough. It's not widely acknowledged enough, unfortunately. I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna follow up on something that I think is real keen. I said in my last live that I was going to in a very respectful way, troll Amazing Lucas, and I actually did. And when I had that conversation with him, there was really no trolling involved. When I had that conversation with him, he actually had something that I felt was worth listening to. And it indirectly it indirectly navigated the conversation in a direction where I didn't expect it to go, and it actually turned out to be a pretty pleasant conversation. Um, and I wasn't really expecting that from him. I was really expecting for him to try to make an ass clown out of me, and I was betting on it. And I was in kind of that go mode, but he knew his chat knew who I was because they recognized the voice. Because I put on a different voice. It's not this one, it's another one, like a little voice actor, right? And I put on another voice, and he knew who I was. They knew who I was, and they thought that I was calling in the troll. And I said no. And I genuinely had asked him a question in regards to something that he said because I did my research on the guy. Actually, I got it written down. So one of the things that I asked him, if you don't want to go to the live, was I asked him. It was, oh, okay. My last live, I had brought up the fact that he said this about, you know, um, what was it? Greed. He said greed is. He said something about greed being the root of all evil, or money being. He said money is the root of all evil. And then he tried to say that's not in the Bible though. So now I tried to correct him and said I think it was it Timothy 6:10. I'm not too sure. I can't remember that off the top of my head, unfortunately and sadly. Um, I should, but I'm close. All right. Anyway, it says for the love of money is the root of all evil, and he knew that because he said it kind of at the same time I was saying it. Maybe he was just pretending. I don't know. And then I called him out on. I called him out. I said because I had seen an interview that he had done on YouTube. He was being interviewed by another YouTuber, and he was at this was like 3 years ago, and he was at a straight pride parade. And I think this is back when Lucas was a little more conservative, maybe 4 years ago. I might be a little off, but he said I said to him, you said once that femininity is the new masculinity. Do you still echo those sentiments? And he's like, I never said that. I never said that. And then I had to go back. I said, no, you said that in an interview. And then he remembered. That's why I'm laughing, right? He was like, oh, wow. I'm going to use the word for him. He didn't say the word, but he was basically saying that he was being facetious. And he was like, oh, no, I was just joking. And he didn't like that comment coming from me because I already called him out on his Little Mermaid shit. So that's in his other live. Much older, a week too older. But then I called him out. I have the question right here. I said, because he said there was two contradicting videos that I had found of Lucas, right? And in one video, he said, I'm not anti-cop, I'm pro-citizen. But then he has another video where he's doing a march. Maybe this is like a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago. And he's like, fuck 12. Yeah, fuck 12. He's in the streets of LA screaming, fuck 12. And and I was like, there's a little bit of a contradiction there, don't you think? And he kind of explained, he did what I would call verbal gymnastics to get himself out of that situation. And he did so in a very good. He handled it with grace, because I felt like this would have been the question that would set anybody off. Like, oh, you're basically calling me a hypocrite, and people don't like to basically be called hypocrites, right? So, but he handled that with grace. I'm laughing because of the next question. I was like, "Hey, look, man, I'm sorry about the last time, but I had to say it." I was like, when you gonna wear your Killmonger hat? I know you got a Killmonger hat, and he does have a Killmonger hat, and I know that based off my research. But it's funny because when I hung up, I I knew that I did well on my researching into him and really learning about him, learning more about him, I should say. And because when I got off the phone with him, I went back to the live. I got off the phone with him, and I said something, and he got off. When we got off, he was like, "Yo," it's like, how the fuck does this guy know that? Is he a Fed? And I already told the dude while in his live, "Yo, I did my research on you." So he doesn't rewind back far enough. I told I told him once, your attention span, motherfucker. you know, um, and I think I don't want to get into the specifics, but if you go back to the live, you'll see the specifics. But in talking to him, ultimately, what I want to get into was in talking to him and in doing my research on him, I realized that this dude's not so much as a grifter as much as I thought he was. But he did have a change of heart. And I think it was the Breonna Taylor case where he felt like conservatives weren't holding cops accountable for what they did to Breonna Taylor. And that's when he kind of made a commitment to do a full shift, a full 180, and basically join, quote unquote, the woke mob, if you want to call it that. But in my opinion, he didn't join the woke mob. He just started to echo a lot of their sentiments. He didn't necessarily become woke. And what I realized about this motherfucker is he likes to make inflammatory statements. And he said this on his live while he was talking to me. While we were having a conversation, because I told him I can't tell the difference with some of the shit that you say. I can't tell if you're being serious or if you're trolling with some of the fucking shit that you say. And he basically told me that he likes making inflammatory statements because it causes conversation. And I called him a cunning motherfucker. You see, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? Because publicity is publicity. And what I really think is, to be honest, about Amazing Lucas is that the truth is he's actually somewhere in the middle. And yet, as he's in the middle of both aisles, he echoes sentiments from the left, but he's completely cut off echoing publicly sentiments from the right because of how conservatives handled or chose to express the Breonna Taylor case. And I saw a video where it was an interview. And I saw an interview with him where he kind of explained that to the host, to the interviewee. I don't know. But, to the guy who was interviewing him. And I started to gain a little bit more clarity. I'm not saying he's not an asshole. What I'm saying is that he's not 100% a bad guy either. And I know there's a lot of people who have a disdain toward him, a very strong disliking toward him. And I can understand that. You know why? I noticed this. Majority of the people who dislike Amazing Lucas dislike him based off of Disagreement Day. Because in Disagreement Day, what you have to understand about Lucas is that he does not like to lose debates. It's almost like he's got a superiority complex. And I think he's one of those people who will hide in a dark corner and cry if he loses a debate. I really do. So he has to use clever tactics to humiliate you, to embarrass you, to belittle you. Right? Anything that'll demonstrate to his audience that he has the superior intellect. And he's not the come on, how many YouTubers are out there who fucking do the same fucking thing? So it's not like he's any different from some of the people we see on here already. I mean, we're all different. Some of us, we all handle losing differently. Unfortunately, yes, at times I'm not gonna sit here and say that Lucas is 100% wrong in all of his debates either, because I've watched it was a video from like 2 years ago, and I watched a video of this guy who was debating Amazing Lucas, and what was weird was like I was like, I actually agree with Lucas on this one, and there's things where I disagreed, where you know one YouTuber called in, and what were they arguing about? What was that movie? The Boys. And I was like, no, Lucas, you sound like an idiot. About Homelander, something about Homelander being a hero. Like, Lucas, come on. And that's the thing. It's like he can't accept when he's wrong. So it's unfortunate, but I'm gonna have to give him a pass. I'm gonna have to give him a pass. I know a lot of people are gonna be mad about that, but I'm gonna have to give him a pass. I'm gonna have to, I might, I might troll him. I might troll him, but it is not gonna be in any disrespectful manner. It's never gonna be in like a way where it's like he feels completely disrespected. And the reason I say that is because I truly believe Lucas is a lonely guy. He's a lonely man, and he puts on a facade, I think. And I think his audience, his fans are his family. I think he's a lonely guy. Um, you know, and maybe that's the case for a lot of YouTubers on here. I don't know, but I do hear a lot of noise behind me, and it's kind of ruining my life. So I might have to just end this. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's the Silver Fox Show for the motherfucking fourth or fifth time. Be easy. Stay safe out here, y'all. It's a crazy time we living in.